a follow-up to a video on there called A Glitch in the Matrix. It's about that scene in the film The Matrix where Morpheus offers Neo the blue pill and the red pill. And says something to the effect that, I can't explain it to you, you have to experience it for yourself. Okay, first thing, for some reason people keep saying that it was Lawrence Fishburne in The Matrix. I don't know where people get that idea from. It wasn't, it was Samuel L. Jackson. Let's get back here to start with. But it doesn't really matter either way. And I think Lawrence Fishburne was offered the part, is my understanding, and turned it down or something like that. Or maybe I think it was Samuel L. Jackson was interviewed about it once, and he said something like it would have been really better if Lawrence Fishburne had done this, but either way it didn't, so academic. But yeah, the scene itself is an interesting scene. And there was a video response, Le Confidant, Dominic, you made a response to that, kind of framing it within education, and one or two other people in the comments kind of put it within an educational framework, that sometimes the only way of, as Morpheus says, the only way of knowing something is by experiencing it. You know, tell me and I will know, and something and I will understand. You know, the difference between knowing something and understanding something, between having external explicit knowledge and internalized embodied tacit knowledge or something. It's those kind of differences, and I accept that completely. But having said that, I still think he was pretty remiss not at least putting the theory up there, because within an educational framework, and I mean the education myself, there is it isn't enough to just say to the students, I can't explain this to you, you have to experience it for yourself. This is that Large Hadron Collider, climb in that hole. You know, you can't really do that. You have to guide their learning by framing it, ideally before they do it, but certainly alongside whatever experience they're having. And just climb past this tree. Look, the tree fell over in a couple of nights ago, and it's blocking this path. I'm going to climb under it. Like one of those Chinese gardens, they've got deliberate obstacles in them, so you're forced into different positions to see them different. Anyway, so education. I mean, there are some things about that, and it is a kind of education that Morpheus is putting Neo through here. But as I say, I don't think it's helped by the mystification around that. And clearly Morpheus is really into this mystification thing. Either way, within education, there's several kind of principles at work. I mean, the first thing, and you say this, Dominic, is that education isn't about filling somebody up. There is a phrase, the jug and mug model of education, which is how bad teachers work, which is you go into a class with the assumption that the people you've got are kind of empty vessels, and you're the full jug brimming over with information that you're going to pour into these empty vessels and fill those mugs up. The jug and mug model of education. But nobody who works in education takes that seriously, I don't think. Most of us treat the idea of education seriously, the leading out. I think I'm right in saying that the etymological origin of the word education is eduke, which means to lead out. You're joining the student, you're leading something out of them. And that also, kind of coincides with other ideas to do with, what students actually know. Certainly in my business, we often say that the student already, by the time they graduate, what they realise is they knew 90% of what they needed to know when they first started. And our role is to help them discover that 90% of what they know for themselves, and just tweak it a bit to help them integrate it into their lives. There's also a phrase that you always meet the student where they are, which means that there's no point in going to a student and talking abstruse theories and using language and examples that they have no connection with. You have to connect with them in order to be able to lead them out. So you use appropriate language, or use appropriate theories and ideas and philosophies and examples. And there's also that much older idea, which isn't true literally, but has a kind of poetic truth to it, which is this idea, I think it was Socrates, that said that all learning is remembering. It isn't exactly true, but it's a nice kind of idea. I think it's always worth bearing in mind when you're an educator. You are remembering, you're attaching the members, attaching the arms and legs to an idea that's already got the heart in it, that's already got the body and the torso in the person, and all you're doing is setting it in motion by putting the necessary legs on it or something. Remembering. So those kind of things is where I'm coming from. So just to get back to this scene with with Samuel L. Jackson and Keanu Reeves. Yeah. So firstly, whereabouts is Neo in that scene? If Morpheus is a good educator, and by no means an obfuscating mystic, if his role as a good educator is to lead out that information from the alarm went off and stopped the filming. It's 7:30 in the morning, I'm starting to town, a bit later than usual. And the alarm went off on this camera phone, so this will be part 2. So yeah, so Morpheus is with Neo, and what's his educational position if he's not just being a mystic? Well, he should know, because he knows everything. He should know that Neo already knows most of this stuff, and he's kind of aware of this stuff, you know. We've had scenes in the film where Neo has been told that that something is wrong, you know. He's had these feelings, he's not sure whether he's in a dream or not. He's read Simulations in Simulacra by Baudrillard, unless he just held the book out and didn't actually read it. There's lots of kind of intimations of this, and we know that he's a hacker, so presumably he knows a little bit about virtual reality. He knows a little bit about, you know, all of the things that's happening. He's probably even had a go on one of those VR machines. 1999, there certainly was a VR machine in the Trocadero in London prior to that, and presumably there was somewhere Neo lived. So he's not naive. He already knows this stuff. He just needs a leading out a wee bit. So it seems to me that Morpheus could easily have tapped into that stuff and not just said, you have to experience it for yourself. Is that it? That's probably it, really. Probably all I want to say. But yeah, as an educator, see, probably one of the reasons why I'm frustrated by that scene is because I am an educator, and I kind of occasionally have seen that kind of mystification in practice. I can't possibly explain what I'm about to teach you. You have to experience it for yourself, because the implication is, you know, I know this deep secret as an educator, as a mystic, as someone with access to the truth. I have this truth. Can't explain it. You just have to trust me on this one. It's a horrible educational strategy, and it's basically used to manipulate students and to give the educator a feeling of power and superiority, which I think is exactly what Morpheus is doing in that film, and which is made overt. You know, he's told that many times in that film and in the horrible sequels. He is a manipulative asshole, unfortunately. But just in terms of another glitch. They must have, you know, the rebels in those various strange submarines that they drive around in, and they must have spent millions on those submarines. You'd think that they spent a few quid on developing some very simple VR technology instead, wouldn't you? Or just some movie making technology. They said, I can't explain this to you, so I'm going to just put you into this machine which will simulate the reality. It'll make you feel like you're in a pod, and that's what it's really like. Or I'm just going to sit you in front of this movie we've made. It's really got high production values, but it's cheaper than a submarine. And this movie will explain it all. You still might not believe it, but that's kind of what it's like. Anyway, that's what I think.